Hello everybody. Welcome to the continuation of the session on an overview of biostatistics. So in the previous session or in the previous class, we had discussed briefly about why we need statistics, what is statistics, and how this word statistics has been derived, and what are the basic meaning in the singular form as well as the plural form of the word statistics, and some important definition of the word statistics. So after knowing briefly about what exactly do we mean statistics, as medical students or as medical teachers working in life science, it is important to know about a specialized branch of statistics called as biostatistics. So in this session, I'll be briefly giving an overview of the subject called as biostatistics. So biostatistics includes whole number of aspects, starting with nutrition, treatment, genetics, bioinformation, healthcare, census, epidemiology, population, vital statistics. So it includes all the fundamental things that we talk about in terms of a biological phenomena or a biological event or a biological data. So research and biostatistics are like the two sides of a coin. They complement each other. They always are very interrelated to one another. So if research helps an individual or a researcher to help him to ask the question, the statistics or the biostatistics will help the researcher to get the answer. So research is all about the questions, and the statistics is all about getting the answer for these questions. So that is the reason why I said that they are like two sides of a coin where they try to complement with each other. And as discussed previously, the statistics or biostatistics is all about numbers. So that's the reason why biostatistics is also known as quantitative science, because it deals with data or the information related with the biological phenomena which varies in a given place, time and person. The data is also known as variable, and that is why the science of biostatistics is also known as science of variation. So define what do we mean by biostatistics. Biostatistics is a science or a subject which deals with collection, classification, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of biological events or biological data. Whenever we apply the fundamentals of statistics to biological phenomena or biological events or biological data or to the field of biology, this subject becomes biostatistics. So biostatistics are the development and application of the statistical methods to the wide range of topics related with biology, maybe public health, medical health, or genetics, nutrition, epidemiology, disease, health outcome, etc. So in totality, it encompasses the design of biological experiments, the collection and analysis of the data from those experiments, and the interpretation of the results. So this is the definition of the word biostatistics. So the branch which is concerned with the mathematical facts and the data related with the biological events. So with the living organisms, with the living beings, human beings, plants, animals, the various experiments that are conducted, the observation that are carried out, the information that are gathered, the intervention or experiment that are taken up, and the results that we get and from which we analyze and interpret the data, all are the coming under the umbrella of biostatistics. So it's a science which helps in managing medical uncertainties. Say in medicine or in case of medical research, there are a lot of uncertainties, maybe external uncertainties, internal uncertainties, lot of variability, complexity which happens, and the way of answering this medical uncertainty is the fundamental or the science behind biostatistics. So the process of converting the biological data into information requires a very special approach called as biostatistics. So statistics arising out of the biological science, especially from the field of medicine and public health, is known as biostatistics. So to add, the methods used in dealing with statistics in the field of medicine, biology, public health for planning, conducting, analyzing the data which arise in the investigation of these branches is called as biostatistics. So what are the important characters of biostatistics? What does it include? And what are the important features of biostatistics? As defined by Secretist, it has important features or important characters. It includes that statistics are aggregate of facts. They are numerically expressed. Statistics are affected to a marked extent by multiplicity of causes. It is enumerated or estimated according to a reasonable standard of accuracy. Statistics are collected in a systematic manner for a predetermined cause or a purpose, and the statistics must be comparable to each other. So these are some of the important characters or features of the word biostatistics, or it is an important component of the subject of biostatistics. Let's take a very simple example and probably try to understand each of these characters. The first one is statistics are aggregate of facts. So what do you mean by this? See, basically the statistics is all about gathering necessary information relevant for the study based on a research question. So all the necessary information that are gathered in any research work, in any study, are the aggregate of facts. And these facts, like for example, you are doing any research work on hypertension. So all the necessary information that you'd like to gather about the individual, about the intervention, about their results, about their efficacy, whatever the information that you collect or gather becomes the aggregate of facts. And later on, these facts are numerically expressed. They need to be expressed in terms of the numbers or values. Like for example, you have collected the information about their systolic blood pressure or diastolic blood pressure, their age, their cholesterol level, etc. You're going to represent in terms of numbers. Like for example, systolic blood pressure was 160, diastolic blood pressure was 100 before treatment, and after treatment the systolic blood pressure has at an average reduced to 140. The diastolic blood pressure has reduced to 90. So all this information you are expressing in terms of numbers. Then it can be affected to a marked extent by multiplicity of causes. Various causes can affect these numbers. So as a researcher, you should know all those factors which are either dependent factors, independent factors, or the confounding factors. So in case of any research work, the medicine generally is the procedure or intervention is generally the independent variable, and the disease or the health status is the dependent variable. And along with independent and dependent variable, there could be so many other factors which could contribute to the outcome, and they are all called as confounding variables. Like for example, there could be age, emotional status, birthplace, etc., and nutritional status, many factors which need to be considered whenever a research or the statistical analysis are done. And these, once you collect this information, you should always know the standards. What is the accuracy with which you are collecting the information, and to what extent the information is standard. Whether the information or the numerical data that you have collected is normal, abnormal, high, low. If you are collecting about the information about hypertension, whether it's mild hypertension, moderate hypertension, severe hypertension, whether it is normal, abnormal, all this need to be understood. in terms of a reasonable standard of accuracy. Most importantly, in any research or statistics, the information need to be gathered in a systematic manner, like the time of collecting the data, examining, investigating or examining the blood pressure should be fixed, the position should be fixed, okay. There should be a clear standard operating procedure being fixed in any types of research, and there should be clear goal, objective or purpose of carrying out any research. Why you are carrying out this research, what is the whole purpose of this research should be very clear in any research, and that is the basis for carrying out any research work and to carry out the appropriate analysis of the data. And once these data are analyzed, then you need to interpret them, compare them, estimate them, predict them, and need to be comparable to each other, to the present study, to the previous study, to the level of that it can be easily be understood, interpreted and presented and published. So these are important components that need to be understood whenever we are talking about the statistics. So these are the important characters or the features of biostatistics. So let's briefly go into the history of biostatistics in brief, that who are the important contributors of the world of the area of biostatistics. Sir Francis Galton is considered to be the father of biostatistics. So he was the one who first applied the statistical methods to the study of the human differences and inheritance of intelligence, and introduced the use of questionnaires and the surveys for collecting the data on human communities, which he needed for genealogical and biological works and for his anthropometric studies. So he was the one who has contributed a lot, like the concept of regression, etc. is an important contribution of Sir Francis Galton, and is considered to be the father of biostatistics. So later on in 1929, a huge paper on application of statistics was published in Physiology Journal by Dunn. And in 1937, more than 15 articles on statistical methods by Austin Bradford Hill were published in a book form. In 1948, a randomized controlled trial of streptomycin for pulmonary tuberculosis was published, in which Bradford Hill has a key influence, and a lot of outcome has been generated by this study. If you look at the growth of the application of statistics in medicine from 1952 to 1982 until 2020, there has been enormous increase in the application of statistics, and more than 80 to 85% of the statistical methods are used in various types of studies, even in studies of meta-analysis, systematic reviews. Various complex statistical applications are followed, and because once these statistical methods are followed, it gives a clear information or clear analysis of the data, and the outcome can be drawn. So that's the reason why there's a lot of growth in the application of statistics in medical research. So what does this biostatistics cover? Like what exactly this cover in any study? In any study, why do we require biostatistics? For planning a study, to design, for the execution, data processing, data analysis, presentation, interpretation, publication. For all these important steps, we require the fundamentals of statistics. So statistician or the statistics is a part of not only the study at the end, because many times what happens, the statisticians are involved or included at the end of the studies, which is not right. In fact, the statistician should be also an important part of any studies starting from the beginning. It is rightly said that one should see the end in the beginning. So statistician also should be an important part of any research right from the time of planning of research. So planning of research, a statistician is required specially to help you to know the various study designs, which is appropriate study design to answer this research question. What should be the sample size? How big should be the sample size? How many samples should be studied? And what should be the appropriate statistical test that need to be applied in the study, need to be done right at the stage of planning of a study. To design, as I said, whether you'd like to go for an intervention study, a non-intervention study, a descriptive study, analytical study, a case series, a cohort study, or a case control study, different study designs need to be taken help by a statistician, which is most appropriate. And the data collection, what could be the most appropriate method of data collection, whether it should be a primary data or a secondary data, like what type of data method, whether it should go for a observational method, an interview method, a questionnaire method, experimental method, what could be the most appropriate method for data collection, and how the data should be processed and how it should be presented need to be understood. And ultimately comes the data analysis. What should be the appropriate statistical method which should be used, whether you go with a parametric statistical test or a non-parametric statistical test need to be understood, and how this data need to be presented, how the test outcome need to be presented and interpreted. And in case of publication also, whenever you want to publish any research work, the application of the appropriate statistical method is very, very important. Otherwise, your paper could get easily be rejected. So the data collection in biostatistics will include data presentation. It could be application of different descriptive and inferential statistics, etc. So we're going to talk in detail about each one of these steps, but to briefly tell what are the different aspects of the data collection in any investigation, it includes data presentation in the form of tables or tabulation, diagrams, graphs, like in form of the descriptive statistics, which includes the measures of location, the measures of dispersion, the measures of skewness, measures of kurtosis, etc. Then in case of the inferential statistics, we could have application of various statistical tests for estimation, for hypothesis testing, for point estimate, for interval estimate, and we could use various types of univariate analysis like odds ratio or relative risk ratio, etc., or multivariate analysis like correlation, regression, etc. So these are the important component of investigations where the fundamentals of statistics comes to play. So we, as a student, as a teacher, we need to have the basic knowledge about all these fundamental component and the principles related with biostatistics. Thank you.